Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Rick Velotta. He's a reporter on tourism and transportation for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. For the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers tapings in Las Vegas are brought to you by the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce.
40 years ago, Hotel California and the theme from Rocky were #1 on the pop charts, and D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal started on the road to becoming Nevada's leading roofing company.
I couldn't be more proud of what we've achieved.
And over these 40 years, we've become an employee-owned company. So when you're talking to any employee, you're talking to an owner.
And here's to the next 40 years.
Happy 40th birthday, D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Rick Velotta. He's a reporter for tourism and transportation with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Pleasure to have you back, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
So much stuff to talk about on your beat. I mean, it's like you could write a different article every day for 5 years and not duplicate it.
And that's why I like the job so much.
Let's start out, if we can, with Japan.
Okay.
Sig Rogich was on the program. He thinks that Genting has a good chance because of their financial position, where they owe no money, and the size of the corporation to get one of the licenses in Japan. We had Pat Mulroy on here on the board of WIN, thinking that they're likely to get one of the Japanese licenses. Jan Jones is coming on in a couple of days, and I know she spent a considerable amount of time in Japan. What's your sense at this point? And obviously Las Vegas Sands is in the mix of all this.
Sure. And it's probably appropriate to say that Las Vegas Sands owner Sheldon Adelson is also the owner of the Las Vegas Review-Journal. We always like to get that disclaimer out. But some of the analysts that I've talked to, they're not even able to handicap exactly what's going to happen, because a lot of those key players that you mentioned have very strong case for what they do and do well. Example, MGM Resorts International has a great program for compulsive gambling disorders. That's very important in the Japanese scheme of things. Wynn Resorts. Luxury all over. I mean, they haven't really built anything that hasn't been spectacular. Caesars has got fantastic reach across the world, and of course Genting is like right in the neighborhood. So there's a lot of thought that's going to have to go behind who is going to get these concessions in Japan. And everybody is waiting for that day to happen, to hear that announcement. And somebody's going to be disappointed, obviously.
Oh yeah, to say the least. For Caesars, hopefully they don't end up with a golf course again.
Exactly.
But probably the biggest deal, I would imagine, is a partnership with a Japanese company. So are you hearing names of Japanese companies that folks are potentially looking at as far as partnerships?
I know that they are that each company that is in line to get a concession has done some work on that. Specific companies, I really couldn't tell you specifics about which ones are which, but at the same time, I think it's clear that having that local connection is going to be an important part of the process, and that's why all of them are doing it.
Let's come back home to the Las Vegas Strip. Driving from Westgate, which is the former Las Vegas Hilton, to Treasure Island, which is opposite Wynn, you drive by Elan, which is the next Wynn expansion, and Genting, And the other thing you drive by is all the empty land or land that will be empty to accommodate the expansion of the Las Vegas Convention Center.
Right.
This is now well over 1.2 billion. It's more like what, $1.5 billion?
Today they're going to be talking about expanding the price even more, probably 1.5.
$1.5 billion.
Right.
It is hard to imagine how huge those buildings are going to be and the distance that they are going to cover.
Yes, and in fact that leads to one of the issues, one of the problems that they're going to have to address, that being kind of an in-house transportation system in order to get people from the farthest point on the campus, which is the South Hall, all the way up to the new hall that's being built, which is completely even farther than the North Hall is. So there are some considerations being made to put together some kind of a transportation plan so that people can shuttle back and forth with greater ease. So that's certainly part of it that hasn't really been discussed in a lot of detail just yet, but certainly the architects are considering that, the prospect of that happening.
And I wonder if anybody's thought monorail yet. I'm just kidding. But anyway.
Actually, they have talked about some small people movers. So
really?
Yes.
Well, I was thinking, initially segways would make a lot of sense if you've got a good sense of balance there. But yeah, it's just going to be an unbelievably huge project. Genting on course to open 2020. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be the original 3,000 rooms that they had first discussed?
I believe that's what the plan is, and I'm sure when you've driven past it, you've seen how that is going extremely fast. It's
really fast.
It's moving along, and certainly it took them a little bit of time to get to where they are now. But I think the history of Genting shows us that they are very careful, very deliberate, and they do everything that they can to get it right. And I think that's the case in this in the Resorts World property.
So what do you think they're going to do with all that land that would be on the south end of the property? Because it seems that they're congregating on the north end of the property right now. Is that going to be parking or something like that?
No doubt expansion. One of these days.
Yes, but I mean in the interim,
right.
They need to put something there, not just dirt.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the short-term solution is, and that's certainly something that probably needs to be addressed. But I think before too long, we're going to be starting to see some plans roll out. And then, as you pointed out, further south of that is the old Elan property, which Wynn Resorts Limited has purchased. They have some long-range plans to build on that property. So I suspect that within a couple of years, we're going to actually know what's going to happen on that site. And when that
you think that's going to take that long?
Oh, well, that's one of the things that they've done by design, because they wanted to focus initially on getting the convention facility that they're building completed first, and then they're going to focus. And this is something that Matt Maddox, the CEO of Wynn, has indicated, is that we're starting to think about it a little bit, but we're not quite to the level where we're going to actually come out with some specific plans. But count on there being rooms involved with that. That's probably where they're going to be building some additional towers, maybe a new concept for Wynn. Hard to say at this point.
So what do they have between the two towers right now? About 5,000 rooms?
Yes. Approximately, I think it's like four and change. But yeah, that's already a pretty big resort. And then when you add on top of that what they could build across the street, when I say the street, I'm talking about Las Vegas Boulevard.
Right.
Then they will certainly have even a bigger presence on the Las Vegas Strip than ever before.
And I wonder, do they build a bridge from one to the other?
I suspect that they would.
With some kind of people mover
suspect they would.
To be able to do that. The thing that kind of struck me, and in talking to Pat Mulroy, she kind of reassured me a little. Steve Wynn was such a visionary that when he came up with the idea for the beach club, it sounded like an exciting, fun project. When Matt Maddox was saying, we're not going to do this, he was saying that it was going to be a public swimming pool. It just made me a little cautious about, the vision being gone. Should I be concerned, or, are there still people at Wynn that can enact what was the previous vision?
I think a number of people who Mr. Wynn hired initially are still with the company, and so there is a lot of that vision that's still in place. So I think that Matt Maddox made a decision to take it into a different direction, and certainly losing somebody like Steve Wynn, who has been the creative genius behind a number of projects on the Las Vegas Strip. I mean, you can count them on hands and toes.
Go back to
so
Golden
many.
Nugget. I mean,
Sure,
seriously.
Sure. So while that is a huge loss in terms of that, also a loss to Macau. Let's not forget that. But the fact is that some of the initial philosophies that they have had in place are probably going to continue on. I would think that some of the engineers and architects that are within the company's design subsidiary are already thinking about something amazing that we could have never conceived of years ago.
All right, let's take a break. More with Rick Velotta after this.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rick Velotta. He is a reporter for tourism and transportation for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. So we need to talk about my wife. We don't often do this on this program, but today we do. It's been a while since she's been down here. We went to Mandalay Bay to see the Michael Jackson concert, have some dinner, and she saw the $18 parking fee and hit the roof. Why is there not some kind of discount given back, which is what happened in Reno when they opened the baseball stadium? If you buy food and drink, you're recompensed. The thing that irritated me, to be honest, was there was a lot of noise at the time they were talking about parking fees, about they were going to be improving the garages, they were going to be improving the service. Well, Mandalay Bay has always been a place where it takes forever to get your car parked in valet, and it's not exactly the fastest to get your car back. So I'm not quite sure why I was paying the additional 18 bucks beyond giving it to the bottom line, which is fine if they want to do it, but every place we've stopped at since, my wife goes, they have a parking fee?
Right, and you'll find that more and more of them do have parking fees. We've started making a list of some of the properties. Obviously, between Caesars Entertainment properties and MGM properties, that's a large percentage of the Strip right there. But then when you add Wynn in there, Cosmopolitan in there, and soon Tropicana in there, you're going to be seeing more and more of this type of an issue.
Tropicana was forced into it, though, because
pretty much.
They were giving away the parking for free,
right,
and everybody was coming over from MGM properties and parking at Tropicana, so their customers couldn't park there. So I give them a buy on that.
Yeah, and that's something that I guess to Tropicana's credit, they held out for as long as they could, but they were seeing what was happening, and certainly they have to look out for their own customers, because if the place is filled with people parking for Golden Knights games and walking over, then that's a problem for Tropicana, because they have their own businesses that are counting on people being able to access the property.
All right, so now parking for the stadium. Obviously, as you drive down I-15, that stadium is looking beautiful as it's going up. Is the parking going to end up being at Valley High?
No, it isn't. In fact, the Raiders have announced that they have an initial plan for parking in which they will have 4 satellite parking lots and then provide transportation to the stadium. I think a lot of people have said from the very beginning that they thought this was the biggest flaw in the way this stadium is being put together, in that there's not an abundance of parking on the site of the stadium. Well, with 63 acres, there's only so much you can do. And then in addition to the stadium footprint itself, they have this large area as large as a football field, which is exactly what it is, that has to be parked outside of the stadium because they'll be growing grass on this field tray and then sliding it in for a game day. So that's another part of the area that can't be dedicated to parking. So the plan that the Raiders have put forward, they brought this up several months ago, was that they are going to lease lots from 4 different locations, and then set up parking at those places and then transport people in on buses.
And will there be tailgating facilities at those parking lots?
Yes, there will. There's been no details given by the Raiders at this point in time. I've been told that there is a big plan underway to put a tailgating plan together so that people who want to participate in that type of activity can do so before they go to the game.
All right, let's take a break. More with Rick Velotta when we come back.
Nevada Newsmakers tapings in Las Vegas are brought to you by the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rick Velotta. He is a reporter on tourism and transportation for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Let me ask you about nightclubs and day clubs at the casinos. For a long time, this was the hottest thing. They were making more money selling bottles of booze and cabanas to people than they were making on gaming from the younger folks.
Right.
Is this still the cash cow that it was before?
It's probably died down a little bit. There have been a few places that have not closed, but they've minimized some of what they've done. But then at the same time, there are other properties that are getting into the game. So we're going to be seeing, for example, I believe that Station Casinos, which operates the Palms, is going to be opening a day club that'll be, every day of the year, because it'll have an indoor component to it, so people can hang out by the pool and be warm even in December and January when it's really cold here in relatively cold. I know people in Reno
it's
laugh
snowing
at us
in
when
Reno
they say
right
it's
now,
cold.
pal.
Yeah, exactly. But so I think that's still something that is going to continue on until people get tired of it and they find the next thing to do.
All right, so let's talk about esports. I was saying to Pat Mulroy that in the old days, you know, if you got somebody to come into your sports book, you really needed them to come in as a couple because you wanted the other person to go play with slot machines while they were in the sports book because the sports book didn't make any money. That's been turned upside down on its head, right?
It has. And esports, gosh, it's a really interesting phenomenon that's being driven a lot by some of these younger participants, some of the millennials. They're coming in, they find something that they like to do, and this is something that the casino companies took notice of, and they actually started building some facilities specifically to attract that demographic. So, for example, at Luxor, there's an esports stadium there. It's pretty amazing. The technology in there is off the charts. I mean, I'd love to have the money that I could put into some of my own computers to build something like what they have, but there's gaming that's going on huge screens. The people that follow these things are really into it. They cheer. It's like an athletic contest, and they're doing things almost every night of the week because on the nights where they don't have a big tournament like that, they'll invite people in just to play. So that's a fun aspect of it. And gosh, eventually we're going to see people betting on that. So that's what's amazing.
And that's really driving deals like the Major League Baseball deal that we just saw recently, where these sports teams didn't want to have anything to do with gambling, and now they see the cash.
You're right. And as far as esports are concerned, I didn't realize what a big deal it was until I saw that there are organized teams across the globe that play this. And it's probably a bigger phenomenon in Asia and Europe than it is here.
Yeah, Korea, there's tens of millions of people that watch these sports. And they've been, you know, by the way, they've been doing this now for probably 20 years. This is not a new phenomenon, but I'm glad that Nevada is at least, and the U.S. gaming industry has caught up to this. So Station Casinos buying up a large chunk of land. No development plans announced, but this is nothing new. They and Boyd had a game going for a long time where they would buy wherever they thought that land was going to be developed eventually and just put it away until such time as they could use it. Are you seeing more discussion of companies doing that now?
Well, you're very astute, Sam. That's exactly what's going on. It's kind of a, in some respects, it's buying land to block the competitor from doing something instead. Which happens occasionally, and I'm not sure that's the case in this new parcel that was acquired in the Northwest. But at the same time, they do kind of watch out for this. They know that we're kind of in one of those growth spurts, Southern Nevada is. So they will be looking to see what the next big thing is going to be and see if there's some potential to build a new resort that far up. I don't think there's anything in the plans right now for that to happen, but they're banking that property there so that they have the ability to do so. And if one of their competitors happens to show up and build something, they're right there available to build as well.
Yeah, for example, Wild Wild West,
exactly,
is a huge piece of acreage on the other side of the freeway that they've never developed.
Exactly, and at one point in time, that was in the conversation for a stadium site. So you just never know what's going to happen, but having that land available to you to do whatever they want to do down the road, good opportunity for them, probably pretty wise thinking on behalf of the management to look forward like this.
As you look at the business boom in Southern Nevada, I look at a similar one in Northern Nevada for their sizes. It seems to me that the only thing that could really affect the economies of either North or South would be some terrible event like a 9/11. That if it's just a downturn in the economy, we're diversified enough at this point that it would not be as big a deal for Nevada as it might have been 10 years ago.
Well, and this is something that Governor Sandoval looked at pretty seriously in terms of diversifying the economy. I think it's unfortunate that we're still not as diversified as we could be, but certainly some of the additions, especially in Northern Nevada, have been fantastic in terms of being able to protect ourselves, because as you well know, when there's a recession or when the economy downturns, the tourism economy is usually the first to feel it, because people are seeing that they don't necessarily have to spend their hard-earned money on something that's fun. They would have to protect themselves and their families by buying things that are a little bit more important to them at that particular point in time.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what's different now is that it's not about gaming, which you could look at and go, okay, this is totally where, you know, you put your money on the table, you win, you lose, but you're just playing the game. Now there are all kinds of entertainment things that you could be doing that didn't exist. You know, restaurants, bars, shows. And you can adjust the pricing. The Atlantis in Reno, I always tease one of the owners about that during the recession, their gourmet buffet on Thanksgiving was $29.95, and they just did their Thanksgiving gourmet buffet, and it was $65.99. I think that's really how you look at the economy and figure it out.
Yeah, well, and diversity of product on at a resort is certainly a part of the equation, and as you know, they're making a lot more money on some of these peripheral businesses and things that are going on. Oh, and by the way, parking too. They'll make some money from that.
Yeah, please, when you talk to Jim Murin next, just mention Bonnie will be writing a letter. So he should be looking for that.
I will bring that to his attention.
Rick Velotta, always a pleasure to have you on the program, sir. Thanks for taking the time. We'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada, and we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also download podcasts of the show free of charge or watch us on YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast.